Yeah. All rise for the regular city council meeting for the city of Ellsworth for May the 12th, 2025. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, are we going to approve the agenda or we need to add something to it?
I think it looks good. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Okay. Councilor Renard has made a motion to approve the agenda. Councilor Panzer has seconded that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda, approval of the April 28th meeting minutes, the approval of the airport advisory board meeting minutes, and ordinance A 10425. It's the consent agenda.
Okay, just a suggestion to make things smoother for all of you. You can just make, if everything's happy, just make a motion say, I move the accepted consent agenda.
Okay,
Not every item, the whole idea of consent agenda is to approve by one motion the stuff that is routine. Like all these things are, and it can just save us words and everything.
yes, that'd be helpful.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. All right, once again, Council Renard has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilor Panzer has seconded that motion. Any debate, any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Moving right along here to public comments. We've got one person signed up. Michelle, come on up.
Hi there. Right. You guys are probably tired of hearing from me by now, but we can talk about the chicken issue again. I know that last time you guys had a meeting, you spoke about chickens. There were some comments in the paper that were less than pleasant. There were some things in there that just seemed a little off, like, one of you said that, I think it was Mr. Dingle said that chicken needs 15,000 square feet. That's what was printed in the paper, so.
The paper messed that up. That was,
In the paper.
no, the paper got that wrong. Yeah. They did correct like everybody else.
Because that was completely absurd. and
Yeah.
Made this look really ridiculous. The issue about you guys thinking that there might be a noise issue, I think that was you, Darcy. I think somebody in the paper said that there was noise issues. I don't know if you guys have ever been around a hen, but they don't think noise, certainly less than a dog, so. I just wanted to remind you guys that when you vote, it should be what the people want, what the citizens want, not your own personal opinions. My daughter has gone around collecting signatures. I don't know if you guys want to see this for a petition for chickens. She's allowed to give that to you guys. All Ellsworth citizens have signed this.
I think she can approach us, that's fine.
Okay. You can,
Okay. I collected 19 signatures.
Okay.
from different Ellsworth citizens, so there is a lot of support and a lot of interest in town for this issue, and we're just really hoping that you guys just give it some active thoughts, and so we can just be on board with a lot of the other small towns out here. So
How do you spell your last name?
Kinsley, Kinsley,
And what's your daughter's name?
Casey, Kayce.
All right,
That's all we got.
all right, thank you so much,
Thank you.
appreciate that, yeah. Thank you. All right, no one else is on the list here, so we'll be moving on. Unfinished business, the discussion of allowing chickens within the city of Ellsworth. Which is on the agenda next, so.
It's been council, of
Yes.
course, to discuss the last meeting and was moved to this meeting, so our city attorney could be present. And just to clarify some things, it's at that meeting, it was said, if we're allowed birds, how many? Somebody said 5, but maybe more for a larger lot. Most of the city that actually allows 10 birds if you have more than 15,000 square foot. And so, and again, it's not a matter of proof of chickens, it's about courtesy to neighbors and everything else. And as I wrote in my comments, you saw in the packet and online as well, or on the city's website, some cities like Salina require as far as 50 foot away. My only the recommendation I'd have, if you're gonna allow chickens, I would suggest 8 foot from the property line, rather than the 5 that's talking about, because accessory buildings have to be 8 foot off the property line. That way you're consistent with your codes. So that'd be one thing I'd want to change. Numbers always big. And again, as I always say with chickens, for those that want it, there's those that don't. So you have 19 signatures in favor of having chickens. You know, I don't know how many are against it. They're not gonna say anything. But somebody told me today, says, why don't you have something where you have to get permission from both neighbors? Well, I hate those kind of ordinances I told you last time, because what if, you know, Councilmember Nardi wants chickens, and I go, yeah, I'll let that, 'cause I really don't want them, but God, these kids are okay, and I'm gonna let them have it. But what happens if I sell my house to, somebody else, and they go, I don't want the chickens? Well, so is he having chickens not affecting me selling my house? And that's what the concerns I have. So either allow them or don't allow them. I think, having neighbors go to neighbors and put them on spot, it's not where you want to be, especially when properties change. It's just something you want to either allow them or you don't allow them, and have certain restrictions. And of course, as I mentioned, a couple of my notes, there will be people in town that can't have chickens if they have a covenant, like where I build, I can't. And I knew that because when the bank developed this property, the state says no chickens in his neighborhood. So again, if you're gonna pass an ordinance, some cities put a word in there, they're not allowed if a local covenant, and the city does not control covenants. But I think it'd be nicer to those like the bank, and if it said something up there, let's just say the city's behind us on this, because we said no, and they could do it too, but that way. We're sitting there and says, no, they're not allowed in those areas. So basically what we need, if you want to move forward with it, we need to determine. So we can get an ordinance written for the next meeting, you want to do it, numbers, spacings. I'm still recommending, only owner occupied. So not rentals, no apartments, no duplexes. And those are things that I've looked at on those, so, and I think a lot of cities will have that way it's owner occupied if you're gonna do it. And again, no rentals and no apartment complexes. Or that's the way our multi-family.
Yeah, I think we should try it. I think we should give it a shot. We've got people did sign some. I haven't really heard too much negative about it, at least on who I've talked to.
I've probably gotten 15 or 20 people, even phone calls, and said absolutely not. They don't want to be next to the smell of the flies. And a few people said, which I didn't think about, bird flu being transmitted to their pets, like dogs and cats. Bird flu can be transmitted to a pet.
But bird flu, can I interject, or I don't have to?
You don't have to, no.
Okay.
But anyway, so what I'm saying is, I probably will vote against it. The only pure solution in this might be to put a ballot in the water bill and let the community decide. But that's bringing up a bucket of
Those are
words.
bad ideas because they're non-binding. You have no idea if the person is eligible to vote, if they're registered to vote, if they're 4 or 54, if they're citizens of the community. That's just like, young lady, I appreciate you having a position, but we don't know if those are registered voters. We don't know if they live in the city. We don't know. I'm not saying they are, we don't know.
And we already talked about, let's say, limited, this group can't have them, this group can't have them. You can't have them if you're in an apartment, you can't have them for this, so. Me personally, I think we should stay away from it. I'd probably vote no.
No, I share that opinion because I had one person voice a positive opinion and I had numerous people have a negative opinion towards it. So it's not just an individual opinion I'm going off. So
I'm going off everybody else's opinion. Personally, I don't care either way. I'm going off from the response that I got from the public.
I think you should vote on it still, don't you? Just put it together and vote on it.
Why not?
I like Tyler's.
5 birds?
Yeah, I think keep it at the minimum, give the people a chance, and then evaluate it in a year. Can you sunset an ordinance? Can you put an end date on it, or?
It's a bad idea. Because you're asking, these people are also gonna be making a commitment.
That's right, I know,
Of
there's some
$300 to
issues.
$500 or
We
more.
would just have to remember in a year, we said, okay, we're gonna try this.
You can always lift an ordinance, I got that, but a lot, it's tough to lift an ordinance because people make commitments,
They do.
they bank on it.
They get emotionally attached.
I move, well, I ain't emotionally attached, I move in a month before it's up and I moved it down here and bring them in and I, now. I mean, yes, you technically can outlaw them at a certain time period. But I would never go into any ordinance with the attitude that, oh, we're gonna try and see how it goes, then decide. Either go in it all the way or don't go in at all. I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
but any ordinance is good.
I mean, I like the 5 chickens and if you rent, yeah, it's not your property anyway. I mean, that makes sense in an apartment comp. How would you do it anyway?
Right.
I mean, 5 birds and the setbacks, whatever we got for, small buildings or whatever, I mean, that's fair, that's how.
That would be accessible.
Yeah,
So the finances is somebody walks up and says, I want 5 birds, $5, $5 for 5 birds, right?
yeah, just to.
Minimum, just to get a
Some kind of
petition.
Permit, so we.
Yeah.
That permit, cities are ranged from from 50 first time to 15 a year after, some are 25, one every year. It's whatever you want to be. No, we're not gonna make money, and don't ever think you're gonna make money with a permit.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. No, so that's the wrong reason to do it, yeah. I would suggest probably hire just because you're gonna have some staff time inspecting the properties and everything else.
I have a nephew that put pen in at the Wilson. And he said he's up to almost $1,000 for his pen and kennel. And the cats were getting in there, so he had to put a top on it to keep the cats from getting in and killing the chickens. So that's another thing that's gonna happen. We got a lot of free roaming cats in town.
True.
So they can kill a lot of chickens.
Do you have enough information on this? or-
What would be a good, charge? You know, please,
Probably 25.
a yearly or one time?
I probably do it yearly, that way they get inspected every year.
25 a year, put that on.
But whose responsibility is it since that?
And we go because.
To save a lot of time and without all the busyness of the city hall and with Alan's work, I'd like to make a motion that we do not allow chickens in the city of Ellsworth.
I'm against negative motions because we don't allow them today.
Okay, so we don't have to say no, and unless we don't have a vote to have yes, then it's still no.
I read the words, not, I mean, I read the ordinance. And again, the official vote, because you may say no tonight and then you say yes next time, and I'm not saying that, but.
Yeah.
No,
Just what I can see with the smells.
If you, as a commission, have a consensus to move forward, I'll prepare an ordinance.
I think you should too. The other factor is there's a high likelihood we'll have a different makeup of the council in 7 months. Then the legwork will already be done and they can just revisit it in January, February and just, it's already done.
I mean, that'd be a good. At least we'd have something.
Yeah. And you can present
Whether
that,
anybody votes for it or not, at least it's there.
right?
I'm gonna vote for it though.
Well, you guys, so do you want me to prepare an ordinance? Just give me a
Is it
consensus.
worth doing?
Not for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna vote no.
I will vote in favor, so I guess Heather and I are in minority.
Yeah. Well, then I guess we don't even do it then, if it ain't gonna
It's not-
pass, I mean,
You
what's the
guys,
point?
it's not my decision, it's your guys.
Yeah, I mean, should we get it, write it up anyway?
I think so.
I'd
I
be
mean,
waiting.
it's not gonna take that much time,
No.
I say write it up so we can see it in writing and then.
Yeah.
Officially vote for that it's recorded.
It's-
Better. Right, everybody's okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't spend any time on it. 2 weeks, just boom, there it is, both done, we're off the board.
I hope, yeah.
You never know. You never know, yeah. All right, so at this point, we're moving on to new business. We've got resolution number 2025-19, a resolution of the governing body of the city of Ellsworth, Kansas, authorizing the sale and conveyance of certain property related to Myco Industries.
I'll let Kevin do the show here, Kevin Count with Gilmore Bell, he's done bond work for the city of Florida, he's done bond work for me in more than one city. You know, this, I always say RB tonight is a celebration, it really is, because the community, the city councils over the years have accepted the IRBs. And IRBs really had no financial burden to the city, but they did the work. And when you have an IRB, the property, like check the county maps, Mako property, it would say it's owned by the city. People say, really? No, because we get to hold it. But tonight they paid it off, they created jobs. It's a celebration, but now we gotta go through the legal side.
Yes, so honorable mayor, council, Kevin Cowan with Gilmore and Bell. Alan did a great job. This is good news. We had industrial revenue bonds, they paid off as planned. And as part of that documentation, the city needs to return to the company all of those assets that were covered by the industrial revenue bond, because the city has exercised a purchase option built into the documents originally. So big picture, you issue bonds, pay for that facility, our state law requires you to take as a city an interest in it and then lease to the company. So the city's been making lease payments that have become the bond payments to citizens, they're the bond trustee. And then at the conclusion of that payment schedule, if there's no default under the lease, the company can then request and exercise an option to purchase. So that's what this is, very short resolution. If you look at it, it just approves all of that. There will be some documents to sign. If possible, we've discussed maybe having you sign some of them now, and I'll assemble a packet of documents that will then get recorded through the one, so it'll happen pretty quickly. And again, good news, this worked the way you wanted it to work.
Kevin, this bond issue, this IRB did not have a pilot, did
It did
it did?
not.
Is it not? So basically, during the time of the bond, the property was tax exempt. So not only have they met their qualifications, they paid everything, they've created jobs. Starting tomorrow, it's on tax rolls. Now they won't get taxed till next year because of the January one thing. Well, there are good things, but bottom line, it goes tax rolls. So again, it's a celebration and it's good stuff.
And I'll add, there has been a statutory change in the meantime, that if you were to do the same project tomorrow, a similar project, you probably wouldn't take title in a way that you'd have to deliver a deed back. The statute now allows just a lease back. So the company could lease to you and you lease it back. Next time it'll be a little simpler. You won't have to approve and sign a deed to deed the property back. Just thought I would mention that. This is about as formal as it can be, but again, it's good news. And so what you're approving is authorizing the mayor and the clerk, interim clerk, to sign a special warranty deed that covers what you got from the company. It's not a general warranty deed where you're going to warranty over everything forever. You're just saying you get back what you gave to us, company. There's a bill of sale that covers all of the personal property and equipment. There's a release of lease that will also get recorded to show everybody there's no longer a lease on property, and then the minutes and resolution.
And also council to understand, all this work, and Kevin's expenses and everything else are not paid by the city.
Correct.
They're paid by the company. So when we have IRBs, they get bad names. So I don't know why, and I've done it before. It's like they're the company came in and they're paying the cost of doing it. You're giving them the ability to borrow money at a better rate. Plus, wasn't there probably some sales tax exemption to them?
Yes.
So like when they were doing some building out there, by going through an IRB, they had a sales tax exemption. So if they were doing a $1 million taxable or sales tax process, that saved them 87, whatever the tax rate is, $87,000, which then got put into the building, which creates jobs. So I also, this is a good time to learn the process and why they're important to the community. And hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Yes. So happy to address any questions, whether it's about this or your IRB questions, all in here.
Do we need a motion?
Yes, you need a motion to adopt resolution, whatever number it is. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a new motion, we adopt resolution AIR 25-075.
No.
Somebody's
like.
Oh, 2025. I'm sorry.
That's not good.
Okay, I'm on the wrong line. Bifocal con. 2025-19.
I'll second.
Councilor Panzer has made a motion to approve resolution number 2025-19. Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any debate regarding this resolution? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Kevin, I've got a question. What is the minimum amount a city should ask for as far as bonds go?
You got a question on IRBs or just general?
Yeah, IRVs.
What, and that just becomes a cost benefit analysis, what's it cost to get the deal done for the company versus the incentives? We've done them, I mean, through the years, we've done them much smaller, but in the last few years, probably about 500,000 is the smallest. And then it becomes a real, I mean, have to sharpen the pencil on expenses and things and what we charge just to try to get it done.
Right.
So that would be on the low end. Most of them do year and, $1 billion.
Anybody have any more questions for Kevin? We gotta take a break now for.
Yeah, is that way they can get their business done and
Okay,
they file in the morning? So about a 3 to 5 minute break.
sounds good.
Yeah. That was the mayor and.
Yeah, it's good. You have to work.
Okay.
You have to go back there. Yeah.
Want to go back?
No, just, no. Just sit.
Okay.
I'll have there, that way we can stay on our line
Hey, so you are gonna write up an ordinance for, present to them this week for the chicken?
Next back.
I'll make sure I get that right. Make sure it is ordinance.
How would you really?
Yeah.
Well, they're down. Yeah, like the other. I don't know why you're there then. It wouldn't be if we had good air conditioning, man. Ooh, that's a good one, wasn't it? Time you need help. Yeah, I know. I just said it myself, right? Yeah.
Call you, huh?
Oh, it's Steve.
Sitting up here. Yeah.
No. Well, that way they.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes noise that it does. Yeah.
We need to reissue that. We get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up.
I'll make some comments.
I'm gonna bring it up.
They make comments. I'll start.
Yeah.
Let you go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Go first. I understand.
that's Peter.
No, let's take this back. Listen, at the end of the move forward, you found it. I'm not gonna let us expect you there.
So we can still go forward.
Yeah, turn around and even try it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have to do one thing.
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah, I that's what we use contract. We have to-
We're on here because they're
That's the thing. I don't wanna get nobody violence here, so let's.
Yeah.
No, we're live, we are live.
Yeah.
So.
When you get, I only go one more
My point stuff out, yeah, I still. I try to speak like, yeah, changing this delegations. But yeah. That's why I did hold it down. I don't like this. Yeah, no. Take that line, leave it alone. That way, no. I don't, they. So we can go. It's not my.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know about it. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Well, they. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they found out like. Yeah, I didn't know. Well, they. I don't. That guy.
Just, that's what I get.
So now we only have. 7:30. So I gotta be out here by 7:10. They have now, you got here. I'm not staying by 7:10. It was not, well, it was. We're not, I'm not gonna say the other thing. Well, they get the brand. It was not, I didn't know that. Email from the student, then you see their stress. That's my fault. And it's like, I think I have to. Right, and he was part of it. So then I started giving text on the video. I asked after about my course. I was wondering if it was about the last week, I guess, like. How many parents he's gonna get up and several years ago, you only have 4 outside at a time, but this person was also like. It has to. Was right. Or
Years.
Because that was. She was on Facebook last week, after the last meeting, Facebook.
Here's my.
But like. There.
I cannot.
That's what I heard, but I didn't know. It's time.
Yeah. But.
Yeah, that was a good question. I'm like, There are.
Well,
Everyone ready to get something started here? All right, so. All right, so the date of the next city council meeting.
Yes, Mayor, council members, since the holiday, Memorial Day is the day of the next meeting, by your codes, and the meeting falls on Tuesday, the 27th. So no actions needed, just, probably notice here.
Okay. Tuesday, May 27th.
5:30.
All right, no action needed. So we'll move on to the 2025 curb and gutter improvement project.
Mr. Mayor and council members, you've done this for the last few years where you've set aside $50,000 stormwater funds that are built along with the water bill, not part of the water bill, along with the water bill. And every year they do projects. I don't know if they've ever come through. I think permission needs to be given. So what I'm suggesting is there's a whole list of things that they may or may not happen. Some of those may be, Troy may do a curb, but somebody is making improvements in their neighborhood at the same time. They'll be making some, maybe put a new drive in themselves, they'll pay for that. But at the same time, we addressed, I think that's a good partnership. So what I'm recommending is, to allow Troy, curb and gutter project in an amount not to exceed $50,000, which funding from the stormwater utility, and use Kyler and Sutton of Canopus, they use a great luck in the past in waive requirements for bidding. And then the project will be chosen by Troy, which final approval will be. That way there's a second balance, check and balance in there.
Yeah.
So which ones, the ones that were circled, were those
Those are probably the ones that are more likely.
priority? Okay.
That's what he said. He has more than 50,000 on there, but again, there've been some timing issues and everything else. And I know you've done it in the past. I'm not sure if you ever approved it, but with that amount of money, I still believe that from a financial standpoint, the commission says, yep, we approved $50,000. Here's stipulations.
For personal knowledge purposes, what's the criteria for what you guys go off of reasoning behind
That's
choosing
right.
what gets replaced?
That's a Troy question. I think he goes on bad stuff. And then again, if somebody in the neighborhood's willing to make some improvements with it, are we catching them all? No. I mean, you never will. You don't have enough money, but you're making improvements all the time. And I'd have to defer to Troy on how he picked those.
So just from a budget
Yeah.
aspect, way of thinking, and mind you, I was going by 25 miles per hour. I could have easily missed it, but in driving by the library, I didn't see like anything major that said, whoa, that thing's. So I was just curious, like, I didn't know if there was some form of testing, structural aspect or anything that goes up.
I
Just
think-
my own personal knowledge.
It's probably his vision.
Yeah.
And again, I have no reason to doubt his.
And there was a car parked, it could have been right, but you know. But
Well, and I think also there may be points where, you know, you have 20 foot broken. We have 10 good and we have 10 broken. Do you replace the whole strip? That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's, and again, I've never heard complaints with his decision making on this. I trust it fully. I just put in there, cap, that it had to be final approval. Of course, I always want everything to have a double balance check.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the 2025 curb and gutter project amount not to exceed 50,000 with funding from the Storm Water Utility Fund of Kyler and Son of Canopolis, Kansas. And ways requirements for bidding, project will be chosen by the street department, approved by the interim city administrator.
I'll second that.
Tyler's made a motion and Donna seconded that motion to approve the 2025 curb and gutter project in the amount not to exceed $50,000 with funding from the Stormwater Utility Fund with Kyler and Son of Canopolis, Kansas, and waive requirements for bidding. Projects will be chosen by the street department and approved by the interim city administrator. Any concerns or debate about this? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item is the ordinance number 3171 relating to water regulations and rates.
Mayor and council members, of course, has been discussed last few meetings. Of course, I think, you know, not only do we have front on the water side, you've heard, David and staff talk about the need to do wells, possible generation at the plan. I think last week's water leak at the Third and, Lincoln is a good example why this town has to address water. I mean, that was a 33, I think we had about a 33-inch crack on top of a water line, an 8-inch line with a lot of water. They couldn't get all the valves shut off, so a lot of that's been put in place and started going, but I mean, you have to address. You know, I always tell everybody, one thing I know about an 80-year-old water line, it will be 81 years old next year, not in good shape.
Right.
And so we're starting the process. I think that's good. And this is what this does. I think we've talked about the ordinance enough. It'll go in effect, if you notice in the final, it'll take effect after publication, June 12th and after publication. That way it'll start the new period. So the people's bills, right, Angela, it will not affect that bill they get the end of July, correct? Or first of August.
It will affect, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not gonna be in effect till June 12th,
That's a.
June 12th through July 12th, and then I would bill that at the end of July.
Yeah.
Do August 10th.
So the new rates will basically be on your bill that late July period. Early August.
Okay.
And also, we did the, 70% more for outside the city. And as we talked about, we removed the $6.20. And I'll use Shannon, for example. She has a water meter and pays for that, but every person, she pays $6.20 for every one. The city has no, I mean, past that meter, it's her water line.
Yeah.
Or the organization water line. So we had talked about that as well. So now, on some of those, that'll be a little bit different. Next discussed.
No, we gotta do it. We haven't done it since 19, right? Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 3171 relating to water regulations and rates.
I'll second.
All right, Councilor Renard has made a motion to approve ordinance number 3171 relating to water regulations and rates. President of the Council, Coates, has seconded that motion. Any debate or concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Water rates will be taken care of. Okay. Next item on the agenda, ordinance number 3172 relating to sewer user charge system and actual user rate structure.
Mr. Mayor and council members, of course, again, they haven't been raised since 19. There was a couple of years that were raised, by 20%, 20% and 18%. Of course, you're staring at a $8 to $10 million sewer project, along with other things that have been improved in this community. Again, they go in effect the same time period as would the water rates. Now, on residential sewer, the amount of water is charged on those is based on the 3 winter months, what is December, January, February, yeah, and based on those 3 winter months. So if you're locked in already at 4,000 gallons a month, the only thing that will change on the residential so will be the amount per unit charged. Other customers, it's based on the usage they have in most cases.
Was the prison the only one that has a 6-inch line in town?
Think so. I would like to keep, we have a lot more categories, we knock them down, and maybe in the future, knock it down some more.
Okay, 'cause I know a
think so.
6-inch line, a good sized water line coming in.
Yeah. I know we have, maybe,
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 3172 relating to sewer user charge system and actual user rate structure.
All right, Council Renard has made a motion to approve ordinance number 3172 relating to sewer user charge system and actual user rate structure. Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any debate? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next one, ordinance number 3173, amending the powers and duties of the city clerk.
Mayor and council members, this is simple. When you look at the ordinance, it's probably been there forever. Has the duties of the clerk, and over the years, the city's changed. It said that the clerk was responsible for some financial stuff. Well, now you have a treasurer. It says there that the clerk does HR. Now have an HR person, which there's a lot of reasons to have that. So basically, this puts it in line with basically the state statute and with other cities. Down the road, if something needs to change, you can change it then. I think we find it better. Clerks do it, then if approved, we'll go ahead and start moving forward with hiring the process. Of course, then finally approved by the council.
Good.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 3173, amending the powers and duties of the city clerk.
I'll second that.
Councilor Hanson has made a motion for ordinance 3173, amending the powers and duties of the city clerk. Councilor Panther has seconded that motion. Any debate? Any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, last item on the agenda. Am I reading this correctly?
Yes, can I make a comment?
Okay, you may, sure.
Thank you, sir. On the annual appointment of the mayor, let's just kind of go back to December. I was not here yet, so I watched Brad minutes and watched Avery and everything else. In the December 9th meeting, I believe it was, the city council adopted charter orders number 27. What's brought to you that night was that the appointments of officers would no longer be a responsibility of the mayor. They'd be a responsibility of the council. That was passed by a 5-0 vote.
5-1.
5-0, that
Oh,
was.
that one. Okay.
Now, then a subsequent motion would happen that night. And again, I'm not gonna second guess what happened because it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback and for me not being at the meetings because it was happening. There was a talk about not allowing the mayor to make appointments. Again, the council would make the appointments of all boards and committees. Okay? And there was a question brought about, well, does that include library board, because it's a state statute? And so I said, well, whatever happened, happens, which probably was not the right thing, If I was, again, looking back, it's easy for me to say this, going like, you probably should have rewrote everything, came back to speed. Well, the amendment passed 5-0, and then on the total new ordinance, it passed by 5-1 because according to state statute, the mayor in this form of government can vote on charter ordinances. And he did 5-1. However, about 3 weeks ago, I was gonna send a note to the council about this responsibility coming up he had to do. Something bothered me about it, so I went through there and I went down to Angela and found the ordinance that was, the charter ordinance that was printed in the paper. The original ordinance, not the amended one, because, was not printed. And so, with Patrick and we both agreed that the ordinance is not in effect. So this is a case where we're still the same. I would however say that I think we have to be careful. I mean, and I realize and we always talk about the law itself, and the spirit of the law. And I think there's an argument made that the law is still the same. I also would encourage everyone that still got the spirit, and the spirit was to make a change. Now, you can change again. I would like you to take a look at some other changes, and I brought it before that maybe employees like police chiefs, city clerks, city treasurers should not be subject to annual appointment. Because one, you may have contracts, like, let's say, Mr. You're gonna have a contract. You have a contract with your city attorney. You have, you have employees. Yeah, I mean, if we said, Angela, you gotta go. We pick her, I'll pay for this tomorrow, but Angela gotta go. We got other issues, but she's gonna say, well, how about a lawsuit here? Because I'm protecting at least 2 classes. And I'm gonna sue you because I didn't get reappointed, I'm also an employee. Even though this way the government was done, and not the same since I worked with Oakley, when I first started, 36 years ago, I think we moved forward. How you wanna do appointments and committees, you can argue all day long, I really don't care. But I think when it comes to employees, you got a whole different level here, because you now have employee law issues, and again, you got protection employees, you got everything else. And trust me, if you have a bad employee, they should go away. I mean, as city manager, when I had full hiring and firing duties of employees, there's employees that got taken, that left the organization. But there's a way of doing it, and it protects the city way of doing it. What you don't want to get to is you ever want to get a lawsuit against the city for it was done wrong. And even though you can make talk, well, the ordinance says they're appointed, but you got employee issues. And again, like I said, they may be in a protected class, age, race, sex, whatever the case may be. So, I think, and that's something to talk for another day. I mean, we got how we do that there. So, but tonight it's going to be same old fashioned. Again, I'd remind the mayor and the council, I just try to remember what the spirit of what was done last December would be. So that's all I got.
And you and Pat could get together to make that so we can reissue that and make it an ordinance.
We can look at it.
Yeah. We need to, let's redo that again, since,
Do you want to have? So the question would be is do you want to move to what you had in December, or do you want to move to what I'm suggesting here, that employees be employees?
See, I think employees ought to be employees. They
Yes.
don't need to be appointed.
right, and then we need to leave the others the way we did, the other boards the way we did. So along with that and what you're bringing up
Okay.
together,
We can put some together for you.
okay,
So, Don, is what you're saying, the way that we're gonna do it now is the mayor's gonna make the appointments except for employees, correct?
No,
no,
no.
we're not gonna make any appointments.
No,
And
no,
employees.
no. We have an ordinance, this is the same as we had back in last year. The mayor makes all appointments and is subject to approval by the city council. Nothing changed from how you did last year.
Okay,
Sorry to say that. And that's what it's gonna be tonight.
well, I'm speaking about just going forward though.
Yeah, but tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight, you're what you did last year. Sorry for anything that happened, it all happened. But again, I'm glad, when I discover something, I'm gonna bring it up.
I don't have any problem with that.
I have respect for you for doing it. Thank you. All right, so shall we go forward with the appointments? All right, so hopefully I can do these right. Alan, do you want me to list everybody or just the people who are new?
Just the appointment, just the new appointments. So if there's like a board with 4 people on there, only 5 on there, only one is term is ending, because there's 4, the other 4 have terms that aren't ended tonight.
Right, okay. What about city officers? That usually is what we do. It's according to ordinance, we usually do it.
Yes, sir.
This, okay, which ones?
We have a weird ordinance, because our ordinance says, the mayor shall appoint a city clerk, a city treasurer, a city marshal, which is now police chief, and may appoint fire chief, street superintendent, superintendent of water and sewer, a health officer. So we actually have a weird city attorney. It says you shall appoint some, but you may appoint others. I don't understand why, but
So which ones do you want to do? How about if we just do all and be done with it?
it's up to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
And of course, we've got the council's decision there.
okay. All right, so the new appointments for next year for the Ellsworth Housing Authority will be Doug Stepek. The library board will be, Johnny Goddard will be reappointed. And then we have Leslie Brooks will also be returning to the library board. She will be appointed for a 4-year term. The Airport Advisory Board will be Carrie Woods, 3-year term, Dale Weinhold, 3-year term, Barry Cottenmeyer, did I say it right? Kettenmeyer, not say it right, sorry. 3-year term, Tourism and Convention Committee will be Jessica Coates and Colby Richards. They will be reappointed. Planning Commission, Bill Evans, Bill, is it male? I think it's male.
Yeah.
Rick Garrett, 3-year terms. I think that's it, right?
And you can. I've done it both ways when I was in their city. You can, in my mind, you can do all these boards committee by one motion, or if you want to do them separately. One motion, yeah.
I was gonna have the city do it, or should that? be
Let's keep this separate.
Okay,
Patrick's office. Are you
Okay,
good?
I think it's gonna be.
well, then we got a golf board here. We're
Golf board.
doing the golf board will be. Not seeing it, these terms run. I don't have a 2025 on here. They're all 2024s. 2023s.
Okay, they must have, they're in their list here. We're looking at. How would Jim? All on that,
Going on.
there's a lot, okay, go on. And Mark Cunningham returns are, and they're eligible to serve again.
So Jim Cunningham,
No.
Mark Cunningham and Jim,
No, Jim,
Jim's along.
thank you,
okay,
and
All right.
Mark Cunningham.
all right, let's add Mark Cunningham and Jim Solani.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's all the boards.
boards.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve your appointments for the boards of City of Ellsworth.
I will second that.
All right, Tyler's made a motion to approve the boards for the city of Ellsworth. Councilor Panic has seconded that motion. Hearing any debate? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, motion carries. How do you want these city officers?
It's up to you, Mr. Mayor.
I think the simplest thing to do is to say, we're gonna appoint all the city officers at this point, except for the city attorney. We'll have a lot of civil debate and discussion over this for several weeks. Hopefully, we'll come to some sort of agreement, something that the city can move forward in a very positive way, but those are my appointments for city officers.
I don't think it makes any difference whether you appoint Patrick or not. It's in his contract. The only way that he can be fired.
Or
Or
not being
go,
fired, he's not being appointed.
well, don't make any difference.
There is a difference.
He won't lose his job.
He will not lose his job.
Voted.
That's correct. He will not.
So
lose his job.
Patrick will stay on the same as you always are, right? With your
Yes.
contract?
But
Yes.
the question I have, Mr. Mayor, is, and again, I don't want to speak for the council members, is somebody needs, right now, we have to have a city attorney be appointed.
Right,
The contract says we have a city attorney in place.
right.
I mean, are you planning to appoint somebody else? And if so, will it admit financial, will it do the
Right. There are a
job?
lot of issues.
And there's all those issues.
Yeah, but
That's why we gotta get away from this, you know,
Right.
that's the next step.
we gotta remember, I got this information 6 days ago. You and I spoke for 2 hours, 4 days ago, so I don't have a concrete answer for you, but I will.
Well, we can address it later when we find out
Yeah.
more information. So
That's
go
right.
ahead and appoint him now.
No. Okay,
Man, I thought you said you wanted to get along there.
we will, trust me.
We're not gonna have a city attorney?
No, he's the city attorney. He's still employed.
Doesn't make sense, does it?
We can opt
It
in
doesn't
We can
make any sense.
to take a look at somebody else. So,
Which you always could do.
right.
We can what, Alan?
You always could do that.
Regardless
could
if
do that
someone's
anytime.
appointed or not.
Because his contract even says if you don't think he's doing the job you want, I'm moving to get rid of him. I can't make motion,
Right.
but you can, I mean, there's ways to get rid of him. I mean, there's process you have to follow and everything else. But it's a contract. Contracts are meant to be, and a contract actually does have a termination clause in there,
Yeah, it
right?
does.
Yeah, I just put it, termination clause is exercisable by the whole council.
Yeah.
So if
That's right.
if the council ever wanted to change it, just let me know.
So actually, it won't change anything then, right?
Changes very little.
So it's just for show.
Just-
What you can do
No,
to,
sir.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
official.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
So if we don't reappoint Patrick Hoffman tonight, he still is our appointed attorney, correct?
He will be attorney until the
Yes.
soul
Appoint somebody different.
Appoint somebody that
no, the
council
council
votes for.
gets rid of him. Then you have a appointment available.
Right?
Okay. I don't. It don't matter either way, right? It's just you saying it, so.
At this point.
I would recommend a motion, to approve the mayor's appointments, which does not include the city attorney.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the appointments, which does not include the city attorney.
Second.
Council Renard has made a motion to approve the city appointments, which does not include the city attorney. Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any debate? All right, hearing none, all's in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
Hey,
All right. One vote against. Did you make it right? Okay,
I'm not gonna put this on the agenda until requested.
okay.
We'll have the discussion next meeting about alternative solutions. Okay.
No, I think anybody that's an employee doesn't need to be appointed by the mayor.
That's for.
The board? The board's fine, cause you can't really find anybody to do them anyway, so if you can, let them get on.
I agree.
And you can have those, that's fine. You can pick them, but the rest of them that are employees need to be employees, not where he gets to pick and choose and then make a show in front of everybody here. Yeah,
You're making the show.
it didn't do nothing. Why'd you do it? Just go along.
I believe it will.
Oh, okay. More to hear.
Okay.
Oh, the conspiracy theories are gonna fly now.
Okay.
Here we go again.
Let's move on. Sir.
It's just insane. But anyway, yeah, let's keep rolling. Here we go.
All right, so we voted? We did vote. Okay, so department head, city inspector.
Crickets.
All right. Got the fire chief. Ralph, wanna come up?
Just, gonna give a quick update about where we're at. All the, new air packs that we purchased for the upgrade are in service and being used. As most of the emergency services in the county, all the new radios that we got through the grant for the 800s that we were allotted, are in service now. And in the past 3 months, I've got, guys certified as, emergency vehicle operation instructors. I've taken guys to industrial fire school class. And, the regular stuff that we keep training on, we did an industrial high angle, and confined space rescue as well as drain rescue. So, just to let you know some of the stuff we're doing and what we've got going on. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah. Golf superintendent, police chief. Come on up.
I just have one update. I got information this week on a grant for COPS grant for an SRO. So I'm going to proceed forward and try to get a grant to be able to implement an SRO here at our school for school resource officer. So I'll be working with Alan quite a bit and trying to get that taken care of.
Very good. Yeah, thank you, Chief Penny. All right, no recreation director, street foreman. Is anybody back there? All right. Water sewers, David back there.
Nope.
Nope, okay. City attorney.
They worked a lot of hours last
They
week.
did, yeah, they did, great job.
I'll report one second.
All right, city attorney.
I don't have anything unless there's a question of some kind for me. No, thanks.
Okay, city clerk, Mandy.
Nothing.
All right, city administrator, interim city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Talked about the water leak before. There's gonna happen. I mean, I think it would happen. A lot of people were calling the office and maybe after being in the city office for 36 years, I still, people call, are you guys gonna fix it? And you know how hard it is. There's gonna be a day. It's gonna be a day. Maybe the day I'm saying I'm gonna quit here, what happens? You're gonna get complaints that guy at the office says, no, we ain't fixing this, we don't like it. No, it ain't gonna happen. The crew worked hard. I think we have a great relationship. Of course, they let City Plumbing do a lot of work. They have the tools, equipment. And frankly, I'm okay with some of that because there was some mud, whatever still coming on yet. We don't even get employees hurt. So I think there's a lot of good, we have a good partnership and that's fine. And we still got a fairly green staff here for the most part. So we got it done. Could get all the valves shut. So they worked, as I mentioned in my OneNote, they were working with, as I call it, hot. So say this year hot, but you know, water's coming out and they're in there doing, a lot of people did good stuff. We opened, we tried to reach out to the public best we could. I did learn that we have some kind of communications. We're gonna take a look at that emergency notification system. I don't know that one yet. We're gonna take a look, see if that's workable, how that works here. But I think word was out there. People were going like, you know, are we gonna be trouble? I mean, some of the big places, I mean, I know Mr. Rohr contacted us on the, you know, the East Prison and stuff like that. And that was great. He come down and he's like, you know, give us some time. And of course, you can't give time, but you can at least, you know, say, okay, progress is being made. So, again, I think everybody was safe in town. We never got a situation where I was worried about the quality of water and we're fine. Again, crew did a super job because you gotta realize that night they were coming in and Chase may want to comment too. They were coming in and running the plans during the night to get caught up. And they did that. So crew did a good job. I appreciate that. And that's all I have.
All right, moving on. City Council, Tyler, do you have anything?
On the valves, the water, are we still going around and trying to do some, you know, put in valves like we were doing? We bought that hot tap machine and stuff.
We don't have enough staff yet. It's quick.
Yeah, we are still quarterly doing it. We have that grid, we're going around and turning them, and when we find the need for it, we will
Replace
put them hot tap valves in.
I didn't know how that was still going now. Dustin left, because he was pretty hardcore on doing that.
Well, we just gotta have those staff and get.
Yeah.
Bring them up to speed and everything else.
Yeah.
Good
As
deal.
long as we don't forget about it in 2 years that we had a hot tap deal, you know, because that happens too.
Right.
We get stuff and then forget we had it.
Yeah.
Use it. Just bring it up every now and again then. I'm done. That was all I had.
Good.
Justin.
Okay, I do have a So I'm sure like many of us, we have gotten some emails from high school seniors that need a little credit, so I just wanted to read this just to acknowledge it. So this is from a senior at Elder Junior Senior High School. They're writing to me about improving the maintenance of the streets in the city of Ellsworth. A problem I've noticed around the city is that some of the brick streets are getting worse to drive on. Not only that, but the brick streets are very dangerous to drive on when slick with ice or rain. I know they have lots of sentimental value with how old they are, but that doesn't mean that the city couldn't go and replace these old brick roads and use the brick to build something else using them for the parks or just the community in general. If the brick streets are replaced, there will be less danger to drivers in snow and ice during the winter. Not only that, but it's also dangerous for people walking on them and crossing them because random bricks are always pointed up, obstructing the road. Again, by replacing the brick streets, community members can walk and cross the streets safely. Children that walk to school would also have less trip hazards when crossing the streets. A few days ago, a water leak by the Ellsworth Elementary School on 3rd Street caused the brick street to buckle, and now there is a massive sinkhole in the middle of the street. This street is very busy where my parents drive to take their kids to school. As our city continues to age, more problems will arise like the water leak and cause havoc on our brick streets. Because of these issues, new plans that involve replacements or upgrades of the brick street should be in the city's long-range improvement plan, and maybe they are already working on these issues. The city of Ellsworth would be, as a whole, so much more efficient if the city would go and fix and upgrade these issues around the city. More people would be inclined to move here, drive through here, and visit here. So, thank you to that student. Also a couple of, or a question that came up a lot the last couple of weeks, and Patrick kind of helped me answer it. The first question was how many dogs are households allowed to have? And Tyler and I were just kind of having a side conversation about that earlier. Pretty sure I asked that question during my first term, probably. And if I remember right, it's 4 outside at a time. Then the other question was, do we allow pit bulls? Patrick sent me the ordinance, pit bulls, no, and any.
It's kind of complicated, President, it's in the section called other animals, it's not in the dog section, and it's generally focused on pit bulls, but it has some very specific breeds. And additional breeds that you kind of have to look at, so it's pretty involved, so it's list everything there.
Yes.
And then there are restrictions that it goes on to say, if you have some of those breeds, but you do certain things and muzzle them in certain ways, you might be able to do it, so it's a really complicated ordinance, I didn't realize how complicated it was.
I think, and the other question then was if, what happens if a dog gets out of their yard? Because, dogs get out of people's yards, scare families, other animals. So Patrick, shared with me that we have a leash law, and if the dogs are not in a fenced yard, they are legally required to be leashed, or else it is a ticket. So if you have anything else you want to expand on?
I just want to add to that, just because it seems like it comes up once or twice a year where we do ticket someone for, violating the leash law. And I think there's some people that view that as a relatively minor offense, but I take it fairly seriously, and so that's a soapbox of mine, because you might know how safe your dog is, but the rest of the public doesn't know, and some people are very anxious about dogs they don't know. And some of those dogs do bite people, and sometimes they bite other dogs and create all sorts of havoc, so. Even though I think in the grand scheme of things, people will say, I got a ticket for a dog at large, Ellsworth, this is over policing. I will continue to pursue those tickets, because we really, for the safety and mental health of other people, please keep your dog leashed up. That's my soapbox.
So Patrick, is it like, okay, I walk and I carry mace, so if someone's dog does that, mean, can I mace them? I mean, is that, I'm dead
That's
serious.
a good question, I mean,
Mace the owner?
Well, if the dog's running loose, I'm gonna mace the dog.
it would be I'm gonna say, whatever answer, that's gonna be fact specific, we don't want people to damage other people's dogs.
Well,
You have to.
Granted, but I mean, if you feel threatened, is that something that,
If while injuring anyone else or the dog is a last resort, right? But I do, we had a case years ago where someone had to separate two dogs, and the person separating got bit up, so I mean, it is. I would just say, it really is important to keep your dog leashed up, even if they'll always tell me, I'm the friendliest dog in the world, it would never hurt anyone. A, dogs do dog things sometimes, and B, no one else knows how whether or not to be afraid of your dog, so. I don't wanna give it straight, I'm worried about the basing, because I don't want anyone to be over basing other people's dogs, but take it seriously and keep them leashed up. And fenced up.
okay, thank you.
And since it's been a while since I reminded people, pick up your dog poop.
I will add one more to the dogs at large. I have told my guys we need to take that a little more serious, because a lot of times they're like, oh, this belongs to such and such, well, how do you think this? We got now 5 or 6 times, I'm like, why haven't you done it? So we are gonna crack down on it. If we keep having these repeat dogs getting out stuff, they're gonna end up with citation.
So, for citizens that are concerned about someone else's dog in their yard, what's the best way to report that? To the city office, to call police department?
Contact the police department, with the county.
Or the sheriff's department.
They'll dispatch us out there and we'll take care of it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's it.
All right. Aaron, you have anything?
Beat that.
I can't top that.
Oh, all right, Don.
Yes, I do. Ooh, that's working.
Yeah.
Chief, did we look into the idea of putting crosswalk signs up on Main Street by any chance? You talk any more about that with Alan?
No, sir, have not.
Okay,
I did release some stuff.
yeah, that's what I mean, because it's a highway. Because of the highway.
There's concerns with that, we'll have to take a look at it,
I had 2 people ask me if
I
they
know,
had businesses downtown, so,
because I was in Lincoln, you guys in Lincoln last week, but that's not on the highway.
yeah,
And I think, Abilene has one, but again, not on the highway.
not on the highway.
I will say Lyons does have some on the highway, because I drove down Hudson
Okay,
the other day, and they do have some on the highway going through Lyons that are the push button, kind of like crosswalks.
Mhm.
Well, just crosswalk, but you push the button and it comes on and it says, it flashes red lights and makes you stop for whoever's crossing, and then it goes back off so you can cross. Now, I don't know what KDOT would charge to put that stuff in, or what's gonna happen, what would happen there, because KDOT would have to be in charge of that.
I did one for about $50,000.
Ooh, that's expensive, yeah.
It was a grant project.
Maybe we can see if we can put some signs in, maybe that'd be enough. Okay.
It is, it's something that KDOT, the city has to agree on, and it has to be paid for.
Okay, the next thing I have is, how are we policing the restrooms in the public parks? Are the police still opening them up and closing them at night, or how's that work?
Yes, the ones that have locks on them, we are going out there and locking them up at night and then open them back.
Okay, what times do they do that?
Probably, I'm gonna say it probably varies around midnight, 1 o'clock, and then they're supposed to open it up back up around 7.
Okay, because the ones up at Creasy Park at 7 in the evening and 8, they're all locked up. So I wondered if they aren't getting unlocked in the morning or,
Or if the city, no, I don't know if some of the city guys may be going by and lock them. I know that they were doing some work somewhere and they had someone locked up because of that reason.
okay,
Because they're working on them, so I couldn't tell you.
okay. Because the people that walk around the park asked me, I said, I don't know exactly, so would you check with that with your officers? Okay, and this one's for Karen. Have we got your road resolved out there for you?
No.
So what? Didn't we say at the last meeting they were gonna do something, talk, so
I sent you some letters. On Friday stuff, I went out there and looked the day after, and you know, that's. For the most part, that road is 16 to 18 foot wide, 19 foot wide. As I go through town here. We have some of the asphalt over here where there's no curb and gutter. Is about the same width, maybe 19, so, I turned the corner that morning, I was expecting, you know, this much sand. And, you know, it's 14, the neighbor to our south, actually told Troy, they were very happy with the way it was there, so. You know, it's a one-way, it's a, you know, there's 2 houses on that street. I think it looked decent, you know, they got through cleanup last week and that went far, 2 weeks, whatever it was, yeah.
So they didn't go out and do some cleaning on it?
No, I don't think they need, I mean, it looks pretty decent to me, it really does. Take a look at it, it looked as good as, you know, that whole neighborhood, unfortunately, that neighborhood was allowed to develop without proper development. And if you had curb and gutter out there now in the streets, that'd probably be filled. Because it'd be a nice place to build.
Anything else, Tom?
No, I think that's it.
Darcy, that's you.
Nope.
All right, it's on to the mayor and then adjournment. Got to sign up for running for office by June 2nd at noon. So 3 weeks from today, time's of the essence. If you're making a decision, you got 3 weeks to make it. So that's important. The more people that run, the better, I think, the better quality of candidates we'll get and the better the city will do. So I think you just need to, we need to promote that as much as we can. And I think that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else too important. Appreciate Alan's time, 4 days ago. Talked about 2 hours and 15 minutes and hit a lot of subjects and I appreciate just the work that he's doing. They're very impressive and we're lucky to have him. So with that said, if no one has anything else, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Second.
All right, President of the Council Coates has made a motion to adjourn the meeting and Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any debate? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Our turn.